In fact, one of the things that we love so much about dreams is that they're untouchable, because if we were to pull back the covers and take a look at what's necessary for that dream to come into reality, we might be repulsed. Here I am at the beginning of another unplanned week in the midst of an unplanned life. A strategy that I've had to employ because of my tendency to go into dark places and not get out. And what I'm constantly demonstrating to myself, and why I turn the camera on to reveal it to others, is to show that little steps, little movements, pointing yourself in a particular direction and just moving towards it, allowing yourself to be a little bit curious about something, can bring about enormous growth, transformation, and opportunity. So these past few weeks for me have not felt within my story like there's much, if any, opportunity present at all. In fact, it feels like the opposite. But as long as I keep stepping, as long as I keep learning, as long as I keep growing, as long as I keep processing and engaging, things change, things shift. So part of this process for me is recording that taking place, because the parts of our brain that we sit in the midst of challenging times, they don't have access to everything that we know, everything that we've done, everything that we're capable of. So we can't trust our thinking, we can't trust our appraisals, we can't trust our simulation of how things are going to go or how successful we might be or not. We have our earlier evolutionary hardware, which kept us safe. It kept us moving towards opportunity and food and mates and away from threats and danger. And then we also have this new ability to think and abstract and plan and simulate, to play around inside of time in a simulation in our head. And that's where our identity lives, by the way. It lives within that simulation that we run all the time about time. So what my work is about personally and in working with people and everything that I write is about creating ways for you to exist in the world as a physical agent outside of those predictive narratives. So right now, my body, my mind, my identity feels incapable of anything and doesn't see any opportunity. But that doesn't matter, because I will step into different parts of my brain. I will slowly put myself in different environments where different parts of me light up, different parts of me get blood, different aspects of cognition come online to solve problems that are not related to this. For instance, if I point myself towards my ski clothing over there, and then point myself towards the car, and then point myself towards the mountain, and then put my skis on and start moving, suddenly I have access to brain regions that are not available as I sit here and imagine my day and my life and the world around me. So we can't trust our thoughts, we can't trust our feelings, we have to trust our feet, our fingers, our toes, our eyes, and just keep pointing ourselves. And in time, my brain will let go of the darkness, but right now it wants to hold on to it. Certain regions really want to protect me from some perceived or imagined threat. And that's okay. I'll keep my life small and I'll just point myself in little gentle directions, take little gentle steps, and soon things will change. And I will not have lost anything in the process. Okay, so I'm going to point myself towards ski clothing because it's still below freezing and the snow is going to be really fantastic, although not groomed. And when I'm up there on the mountain skiing, I am a completely different person. So I'm going to go step into that person now. Prospect is officially closed, but the conditions look fantastic. Today's probably going to be the last day of decent skiing because the temperature is going to go into the 70s this week, which those of you in Europe, that's above 20 degrees Celsius. So the snow is just going to turn to mush and melt pretty fast. But right now, it looks fantastic. So just going to go out there and enjoy myself one last time. There's still so much snow in the woods, and the conditions are perfect. It's really a shame that the season has come to an end. That was a fantastic ski. Really pumped me up. Worked on technique, did one more filming session trying to emulate Kruger. I think I'm getting closer. In the past few weeks I've made some tweaks, and we'll see what happens in the video. But I feel that I'm getting closer and closer to his technique. Anyway, there were just me and two other people up here today, and those two other people were Dave Johnston, World Masters Champion over 60, and Brian Doxey, who's a former U.S. team biathlete, who was one of my mentors when I was in high school. He's in his, gotta be in his 70s, early 70s now. So just the old timers. And yeah, what a great way to go out. Anyway, I'm gonna head back down the hill and try to keep this skiing energy, try to keep this momentum going as I sit in the office and face what awaits. It is a very bright morning, and I am listening to a new book by Annie Duke, one of my favorite authors. This one's called Quit. Her first book, Thinking in Bets, is one of my favorite books of all time. Her second book, How to Decide, was pretty good, and I'm excited about this book, Quit. How to give up, how not to use grit to your disadvantage. Very much in alignment with what I do, so excited about digging into this one. Finished On Becoming a Person by Carl Rogers last night. It's good. It's not great. It's dated, and it doesn't really benefit at all from modern neuroscience, so it's largely speculative and therefore missing a great deal of what we now know, but it's an antidote to behaviorism. So some good stuff in there, but dated. I'm going to head upstairs now and work on taxes. Joy. Now that I've come to the end of ski season, I've got to put something new in front of me, some new project that allows me to engage in a process. And I think it's really important to talk about the difference between dreams and projects. A dream is where you imagine some great thing that wouldn't it be great if it came true, and you may or may not take steps, you may or may not break it down into a project that involves particular processes. So dreams, to me, are ethereal, they're untouchable. In fact, one of the things that we love so much about dreams is that they're untouchable, because if we were to pull back the covers and take a look at what's necessary for that dream to come into reality, we might be repulsed. So why I bring this up now is that a lot of people might equate what I do with dreaming, but it's not. For instance, in 2021, I had the thought, could I make a World Masters Championships podium in skiing after just 1 year of training? And that wasn't a dream, because it wasn't just a fantasy that I enjoyed thinking about. It was breaking it down and looking at the processes and looking at other athletes and how they train to get to that level, and then seeing if I could take their training modalities and incorporate them into my life in a way that would allow me to get the results of that thought. So it was all about the processes. Okay, here's the idea. It's exciting. Now let's take a look. What is it built out of? How do I get there? And can I take those steps? Am I interested in taking those steps? Do I have the resources to take those steps? And on and on and on. And then iterating and evolving the process as you go. So the difference between a dream and a project is that one is broken down into processes, it's investigated, and the other is simply enjoyed as a thought. It's like, oh wow, wouldn't that be great? That would be so cool if I could do this. My thing is, well, could I? And if so, how? So I think it's important that when you set goals for yourself, that they're not dreams, that they're projects that cause you to want to investigate processes. Because without that investigation, it's a dream. And maybe it helps you to feel good in the moment, but it's not helping you take action. It's keeping you actually separate from action. It is a beautiful spring morning. I'm out here in t-shirt and shorts. And I have to go to the oral surgeon to have my wisdom tooth removed. And they're giving me intravenous anesthesia. So, not too excited about that, but here we go. So I will see you in a little bit. I don't know how well I'll be able to talk, but yeah, here we go. Post-surgery, I'm very, very groggy. Yeah, strange. Not a feeling I'm accustomed to. I hear purring next to me. What do we have? Oh, look. Look what it is. You coming to say hi? Mama. Mama. She's a good girl. It's 5 p.m. and 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 Celsius. And I could just not stay at home anymore. I was sweltering. I'm not a fan of 85 degrees in any season. To me, 75 is the perfect temperature. When I lived in Venice Beach, California, it was pretty much constantly in the 70s, except for a bit of November and a bit of March, April, but usually in the 70s. Loved it. So, I'm really achy. The swelling is not terrible, but there's a big lump right there at the site of surgery. And I just don't want to be sitting around napping all day, especially on a hot day. So I came to the studio to work on my taxes because recovering from oral surgery, taxes, that's the solution. So I'm listening to a book by Annie Duke called Quit, one of my favorite authors. It's a book about offers. Should you stay or should you go? Should you hold them or fold them? And I'm thinking about today how the information in this book relates to what I'm experiencing. Should I try to exercise today or should I call it quits today? And what am I basing that decision on? The doctor said nothing strenuous for 12 hours, but to me the elliptical really isn't strenuous. But then I thought, okay, well, what do I gain if I do it, if anything, the elliptical? What do I lose if I don't? And what might I lose if I do it? And what might I gain if I don't? So I'm trying to factor in like physiological dynamics, or at least what I know about them in relation to my history and working with other people. And I think it's smart not to exercise today. I can walk around a bit, But I think it's smart to, I don't want to say take a zero, because it's only a zero on paper. My body is recovering from anesthesia, IV anesthesia, not fun. I have no memory of the event at all. I just remember the doctor putting the IV in my arm and making a joke, and that's all I remember. I don't even remember like getting up out of the chair and going into the reception area to make payment. No memory of that. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot for me to recover from. So, quitting exercise today, saying no, I think is a good idea. That's the positive choice. That's the choice that gives me the greatest advantage. Sometimes quitting is not taking a step back, it's actually taking a step forward. And that's what this book is about. So I'm only an hour and a half in, but I'm excited because it's something I think a lot about. Knowing when to walk away and knowing when to run. I look like a giant chipmunk.
All right, there is Drolet, and he has opened up a gap now over Dartmouth's John Hagenbuch, who has done an extraordinary job. But look at this. This is going to be a very sweet moment, as it looks like Remy Drolet will be the new NCAA ski champion across the line. Remy Drolet takes the gold medal. Johnny Hagenbuch in second for Dartmouth. Jakob Deichstedt, UVM in third.
Decided to do some elliptical to try to get the swelling down and put on the 2023 NCAA championships 20-kilometer classical race at Lake Placid. And my three boys from the Williams Carnival got 1, 2, 3 at NCAAs. Fun to see them just destroy the competition. Very inspiring. And it's helping the pain and the swelling. I haven't taken any pain meds since the surgery, so I'm just trying to let the inflammation do its thing and just allowing the pain and the swelling to be there, and the movement helps. It is a glorious sunset from the blueberry orchard. Summer has arrived. 30 minutes of elliptical to this Swedish woman trying to break the world record for wall sitting. She's at 25 and a half minutes. For the last 20 minutes, I've been listening to Quit by Annie Duke, and she's finally getting into the concept of identity, which is a topic that is missing from most self-help books. In fact, I think self-help, the way that it's framed, is about using the identity to solve your problems, helping the self, the identity. And she's actually now talking about how identity can be problematic because it can stop you from quitting. That's relevant to the situation that I continually find myself in as I evolve on this journey. When I stopped my commitment to 100% raw food diet, whatever that means, at this point, 100% raw doesn't really mean a whole lot to me anymore. It's an abstract goalpost, I guess. Anyway, there are a lot of people that keep relating me now to that identity. And for a while, that was my identity. I was the running raw guy. And I was going to share the message of raw food to the world forever. I couldn't imagine ever stopping a raw diet. But then it happened. The more I learned, the more I studied, the more I understood human physiology and biochemistry, the less it made sense. And the more that I saw that many of the people that were writing in that field and speaking had an ideological bent that was rather biased. And many of them were profiteers. Anyway, I digress. So there are a lot of people that still hold me to that identity. Some of you watching right now are wondering why I'm not raw anymore. Well, because my work is about having as liquid an identity as possible, using my identity as a tool, but not as a definition of who and what I am anymore. So, am I running now? Not really. And I'm okay with not being a runner now. And people are confused by that. Like, he's skiing? What's that about? He's running raw. And I've had to transition out of the running identity and out of all the accomplishments that I've had in the running world and transition into a new sport where I don't have a history, I don't have accomplishments or a resume. I'm the new kid and I've been struggling, but that has sent me on a learning journey that caused me to find a new way to engage in deliberate practice that's now dramatically shifted who I am as a skier pretty fast. Anyway, so it's not about quitting. Like, this book is about like a hard line in the sand, but I don't see it as quitting. I see it as slowly being opened up to new information. There may be something that appears like a hard line in the sand, like an injury, like my Achilles bone spurs stopped me in my tracks for a long time. So you could say, well, that was it. But it really wasn't, because there was a lot of thinking that took place during my rehabilitation, and there was a lot of experimentation. And that allowed me to evolve rather than trying to desperately get back to who I was in the way that I was. So I'm moving beyond this idea of quitting, and I'm moving beyond this idea of identifying. Like, in my life now, it's just a constant evolution. And I'll frame things in a certain context for a while as a game to play, like skiing. It's a game I've been playing for 2.5 years now. But that's it. It's just a game. And it's a game that allows me to grow and develop. And when it ends, whenever that is, it won't be that I've quit. It won't be that my identity was defeated. It'll be that other things have kind of slowly and gradually pulled me in other directions, and at a certain point, more of them will have pulled me into something new than will hold me in skiing. So skiing will evolve rather than me deciding to quit. Okay, time to go upstairs and do some taxes. My God, it is a steam bath in here right now. It was 85 degrees outside, and I think it's probably 85 degrees in here as well. I just got off the elliptical. I was on there for 2 hours and 5 minutes, cranking out to some YouTube videos. And I'm going to keep it to just elliptical and Bigfoot light on the treadmill at home. I don't want to do any impact and shake this up. So I've been itching to do some boot slogs in the mountains and get out and do some hiking. But I don't want to have any bouncy impact. The elliptical and the treadmill with the Bigfoot light stance, real gentle. So today was a tax day, which wasn't taxing because I cleared everything else off my plate. And I find that if I want to get something that I've been avoiding done, I've got to clear the plate and just focus as gently and as slowly and as sensually as possible on the activity that I'm engaged in. So I've been spending some gentle, sensual time labeling envelopes and entering things into a spreadsheet on the computer, just really gently touching the keys, taking a highlighter, slowly, gradually, and sensually, I love that word, highlighting the thing that I'm crossing out. And I'm 90% done with all the data entry. And the spreadsheet is going to do the hard part. So I found again and again that whenever there's something that just has me all anxious and avoidant, if I can clear my plate, not only do I get it done quickly, but I enjoy the process. I wouldn't say that today was a miserable day. I mean, it's hot in here. But actually engaging in the process of doing the taxes was really gentle, and I enjoyed it. It's the story that we have about things that makes them intolerable. But if we can just step outside of that story and engage in the physical steps of what we're doing, it's quite pleasant, and it was a good day. So I'm gonna head home now and drink my dinner. I've been doing soups and smoothies. I don't want to chew yet. I don't want to get food stuck in the wound. And the swelling is down a little bit, but there's still a huge lump right there, and it's going down into my neck too. I'm getting a chicken neck from the swelling dropping down. So maybe a smoothie tonight. Hopefully in a couple days I'll be able to chew again, and I can do my salads and broccoli. All right, peace. There's a Nina. Hi, Nina. Hi, Nina. Hey, piggies. Gorgeous sunset, and it started to rain. I've set up my knife target back here. Tossing some butter knives. I collect butter knives at yard sales for 25 cents a piece often, or Goodwill, and butter knives are fun to throw because they're light and each one is different. I stand about 10 feet away. The week has come to a close and it's been rather mellow. The skiing ended abruptly. We had 3 days in the mid 80s and the snow just turned to mush, and it hasn't gone back below freezing. Well, close, but not long enough to really freeze it up. So now I'm gonna transition maybe this coming week into some slogging, running, hiking, I don't know. Got the US Mountain Running Championships April 29th, so 2 weeks away. Nervous about that, but we'll see. I'm ski fit, and the elliptical also gives me leg strength for climbing. So I'm just gonna keep it chill for a few more days, focus on taxes, allow this to heal up, and then we'll see. Maybe next week I will start bouncing, but I never know. I just run experiments and collect the data and then evolve. So we'll see. But it's been a nice, gentle week. All right. We'll see you in the next one.